Michael Fullan, Leading in a Culture of Change. In an era of constant social change and unpredictability, Michael Fullan's Leading in a Culture of Change offers guidance for leaders in navigating the chaos that comes with change. The book highlights the necessity of effective leadership and provides readers with 5 key elements of transformative leadership. These include having a strong moral purpose, understanding the process of change, building meaningful relationships, accumulating knowledge, and crafting coherence among the messiness of change. Fullan also emphasizes the significance of emotional intelligence, embracing complexity science, and transferring knowledge within a social context. Get ready to explore real-life case studies, and equip yourself with the tools needed to become an effective leader in this rapidly evolving world.
Effective leadership in the face of constant social change. To navigate the constant, nonlinear, and unpredictable nature of social change, leaders must have a clear sense of purpose, use strategies that mobilize many people to tackle tough problems, and be held accountable by measurable indicators. To awaken people's intrinsic commitment, leaders need to be ultimately assessed through these factors. Being a learning organization that responds constructively to new situations is key. Change is positive and negative. Leaders must help followers walk the tightrope between exhilaration and fear to avoid the mixed blessing of dependency that comes with personal charisma. Ideas of effective leadership and the danger of the changing world outlined so far are covered in the book. The 5 essential elements of leadership. Effective leaders possess 5 crucial elements that mutually reinforce each other. The first element is moral purpose, where leaders act to improve the lives of stakeholders. The next is understanding change, where experienced leaders make deliberate trade-offs between pressuring followers and providing encouragement. The core of leadership is relationships, which leaders build and deploy through broad and deep networks. Knowledge building is pivotal to creating and sharing information, and it is a social process. Finally, coherence making allows leaders to tolerate ambiguity while ensuring followers do not lose their bearings. Leaders must possess key personality traits of energy, enthusiasm, and hopefulness, which they communicate to their followers for optimal success. Control freaks are not suitable leaders since people need the freedom to sort out the best ideas. Despite the complexity of leadership, the 5 elements are fundamental to becoming a good leader. The complexity of moral purpose in leadership. The concept of moral purpose goes beyond setting goals. It encompasses the means by which leaders achieve those goals. Ethical roots are just as important as the outcome. Leaders are not infallible, but they can maintain high moral standards by focusing on the 5 elements of leadership, which reinforce and depend on each other. The challenge of moral purpose is more pronounced in a complex world where leaders must reconcile the conflicting interests of different groups. Effective leaders should articulate their moral goals, rally followers to a collective cause, and make themselves accountable to clear benchmarks. Success should not be limited to compliance but instead inspire genuine commitment. Leaders should constantly develop their knowledge, understanding, and skills in complexity science to navigate the current world of competing interests. Monsanto CEO Robert Shapiro successfully transformed his company by pointing to the greater good of improving food production and health for millions, but failed to pay attention to environmental concerns. The National Literacy and Numeracy Strategy, NLNS, in the United Kingdom was also a success, thanks to a clear goal and plan and a bold promise to improve literacy and numeracy. However, the motivations of those involved may not have always been entirely pure. Leadership, innovation, and change. Innovation combined with leadership may not be enough to bring about change. Good ideas are not sufficient to effect change. Winning followers' cooperation and commitment to your ideas is crucial. Authoritarian leadership styles that use coercion often fail to empathize adequately with their followers, resulting in a falloff in confidence and performance. To avoid implementation dips, you must understand why followers resist change. Sometimes resistors have important insights or knowledge that leaders need to make the right decisions. Partnering with your followers rather than dictating to them is the key to effective leadership. The importance of relationships in leadership. Relationships are crucial in leadership, but they can also be dangerous if they become too comfortable. It's essential to establish emotional intelligence and facilitate uncomfortable reculturing to avoid stagnation. Anthony Alvarado's successful initiative in New York City's School District 2 was mainly about instruction, but he managed to elicit strong identification and commitment from his teachers and principals through relationships. San Diego City School District's teachers focus on relationships as members of an educational community with the shared goal of improving everyone's lives. Good relationships are important for implementing reorganization and restructuring, but leaders must relate to external stakeholders to avoid failure. Schools have valuable information about teaching, but accessing and prioritizing it is challenging. In complex and turbulent environments, interacting individuals are key to sorting out ideas. Implementation dips in performance and confidence occur when encountering innovation that requires new skills and understanding. Ultimately, successful leadership through relationships requires emotional intelligence and the ability to adapt to change. Social ambience in workplace. The value of knowledge lies in its integration with the community. For this reason, individual and team training may not be sufficient without social interaction. The transfer of knowledge occurs via relationships, which is why a culture of sharing is important in workplaces. However, if employees are in a competitive or threatening work environment, their willingness to share knowledge may be hindered. Face-to-face communication is crucial in transferring valuable knowledge, which is often unwritten and challenging to articulate. Therefore, organizations, especially educational institutions experiencing change, must foster collaborative, cooperative, and supportive cultures. Great potential for creative breakthroughs is achievable in a culture of change, created by intradistrict site visits, consultations, and networking. Evidence from York Region School District near Toronto suggests that, despite individual breakthroughs, there was a loss of knowledge due to a lack of sharing. The science of change. In a world where change seems chaotic and unpredictable, this book highlights the biological realities that govern the process of change. An organism needs threats to push it to the edge of chaos, where it must experiment, mutate, and find new responses, leading to self-organization. The path of change is never linear, and disturbances that mimic natural forces can only be introduced, not directed. Effective leadership in a culture of change will be judged by the leadership produced in others. However, not all disturbances lead to desirable outcomes. Ambiguity is only helpful when it enables a higher order of clarity to emerge. The most important factors that lead to coherence include lateral accountability, sorting, and shared commitment. The book warns that many educational institutions struggle with more change than they can handle, and that this kind of disturbance is not productive, nor will lead to coherence. The Tortoise and Leadership. The tortoise and hare fable teaches us the importance of slow knowing for successful change leaders. Instead of rushing into decisions, leaders must analyze and deliberate, even amidst ambiguity and uncertainty. This patient approach to leadership is essential for achieving long-term success.
As we conclude our journey through leading in a culture of change, it is evident that effective leadership requires a delicate balance among the 5 essential elements outlined by Michael Fullan: moral purpose, understanding change, relational connections, knowledge building, and coherence making. In order to navigate the complex landscape of change, leaders must rely on emotional intelligence, learn to communicate the shared vision, and foster an environment that promotes collaboration and knowledge sharing. Leaders should also remain patient amidst ambiguity and uncertainty, as slow knowing can prove to be instrumental for achieving transformative success. So, embrace Fullan's insights and become an adaptable agent of change who inspires growth and commitment in others.